Hello and welcome. Thanks for spending some time with us today. I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy academic year to either advise a student organization or be a student organization leader. My name is Dan Sim. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Organizations, and I work at the Catonsville campus most directly, but I work with student organizations on all the campuses. And I'm excited to get to know you, if I don't already, and I'm excited to get to work with you. There's a lot of really great opportunities for student organizations, for student leadership and advisors. So I want to tell you a little bit about that, help you set you up for success this year. As this is your student organization, we want the group to be successful. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me this morning here on YouTube. Um, as you might have seen, the name of our office has transitioned from CCBC Student Life to CCBC Student Engagement. You'll still probably see in writing, and even as I'm talking today, um, that slips sometimes and might be using the term student life instead of student engagement after a decade or so. Sometimes those names just don't flow right away. But please know if you do see student life or student engagement, we are moving towards student engagement. But student life is where we've been for a long time, where people know us. So we want to avoid that confusion to the highest extent possible. So to tell you a little about student life and who we are at the Catonsville campus. We're located in the barn on the lower level. You'll see our beautiful fountain in the background there. Please come visit. It's a underutilized space on campus. And when you come to the barn at Catonsville, you might see some of these folks myself, my colleagues Nancy and Brianna, and they say we are the three main folks to help you out with student organizations um, at Catonsville. And all of these, as I talk today, all of these links, this PowerPoint will be embedded below on the YouTube channel in the description, so you can always view and click these hyperlinks and get this information later on. If you're at Dundalk, the student engagement office is located on the College Community Center in the second floor. And the folks you'll see there most common are my colleagues Crissy, Vivian, Dan, and Dani. They'll be the folks who can most directly help you with your questions or student organizations. And if you're in person over at the Essex campus, um, you can find the student engagement office at the Ramad College Center on the lower level, room 102. And the folks over there most often are my colleagues Christy and Karen. There's certainly going to be other student aides at the student engagement office. There's going to be other staff members at the student engagement that can help you and be of assistance to you. But these are the folks you're going to work with most often as student leaders and advisors. So sometimes I want to make sure you can put a face to their name, even especially if you're engaging over email. So it's nice to know who folks are that you're talking to. So I want to talk a little bit about benefits of student leadership. So within being a student leader, we want you to treat your student organization kind of like your classroom, your life skills development course. Um, as a student leader, you're going to learn all about communication skills. You're going to learn about time management skills. Working with other people is incredibly challenging, whether it's here at college or if you're further on in the real world. Because right now, this is your chance to learn what it takes to motivate a team. It's your chance as a student leader to figure out what it takes to drive those other individuals towards that shared goal. So it's a really cool opportunity for you to learn about yourself as a leader, to learn about how to work with others and inspire others and how to relate to others um, as a student leader. So one of the things we want you to take a moment to think about as you're thinking about this year is what do you want to benefit from as a student leader? And as advisors, what do you hope to help your students with in leadership roles? Because this is not meant to be just an experience where you check a box. Um, and there is some of that, but we want you to learn, we want you to grow, we want you to have fun, we want you to have an experience that you'll remember. So the intentionality behind that is to sit down, reflect for a few moments as we're starting the year, hopefully, about what you want to accomplish in your student organization, what you want to accomplish as a student leader, and what you want to accomplish as an advisor. So let's talk about what those student leader responsibilities are, and you can pause this at any point and come back, certainly. But let's talk a little bit about student leader responsibilities. So we do ask student leaders meet with their advisors on a regular basis. For a lot of student groups, it happens every week. For some student groups, it happens maybe every other week or once a month. But we do want the student organizations and student organization advisors to kind of be on the same page to discuss ideas for the club and plans for events so that everyone has an idea about where they're heading. We hope you're having those conversations about hearing policies and guidelines. Certainly, our student life staff, our student engagement staff, rather, who we showed you some pictures of on the previous page, are always going to be there to guide you as well, to answer any of those questions. Because sometimes there's some really great and creative ideas that student organizations have, and we love working with it. And we just need to work to make it happen in a way that adheres to the policies and guidelines that CCBC has and that student engagement has. So that's our shared goal right there. But as a student leader in your student organization, you're recruiting members. It's a lot easier to do the work, to have that meet your goals when you do have a bunch of people with that shared vision, that shared goals. As a student leader, we ask you to figure out what you want to do as a student group. Some groups meet every week and have a discussion and eat some pizza, and it's a wonderful opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better. Some groups meet once a month and have a big event that they welcome the college community to and might have 50 or 80 people there. So every group's a little bit different, and we want you to do with your group what works for you and your organization. Um, as a student leader, you're going to advertise those events, obviously, and we'll talk about how to do that a little later on. Um, but mostly, we're going to be giving the reins of the student organization to you as student leaders, with the guidance of your student organization advisors to make sure that you're accomplishing what you are. We want to give you the tools to succeed, and we want you to be able to succeed. So one of the biggest ways we talked about recruiting members, one of the biggest and best ways to do that is through the Connect Fest events that we have at the beginning of each semester. The dates for the September 2023 events are on your screen right now: Catonsville, Essex, Owings Mills, and Dundalk. This is a great opportunity to get together with a couple hundred students, put yourself in front of a couple hundred students, and say, "Hey, this is who we are as a student organization. We want you to join. We want you to engage with our events. We want you to know a little bit more about us." This link and all the others will be in the YouTube video, so please feel free to click and reserve a space for that for these events, because they are a good opportunity to recruit new students to join your group. This is a couple scenes from the Connect Fest event, so you do know kind of what to expect. Like I said, we're hoping to be outside. It kind of depends on the weather. Student Life will provide some food, we'll provide some entertainment, some giveaways. But we have you staff the table, bring the things to the table that you want to share with students, whether that's giveaways or something else. So let's talk about the student engagement community on MyCCBC. This is new as of last year, so some of you might have seen it. But if you go on the CCBC website and you go to the MyCCBC link in the upper right, you can click on that, log in with your CCBC credentials to get to MyCCBC. Go into the left navigation and click on the CCBC communities. Point to that by that nice red arrow there. Then once you're in the CCBC communities, if you haven't already joined, you can click on the link for all groups, search for student life, student engagement, click on the group to join and find more about the office. The other important thing that's on this site is that you'll get all the links we're going to talk about today in one location. So you don't have to copy down all these long URLs. You don't have to go back to the YouTube video and find it. It's always on MyCCBC under the student engagement community in the student leadership link. And that'll list all the links to everything we're going to talk about today, everything you need to be successful as a student club and organization, as far as how to publicize events, all your resources, all the budget request forms, all the guidance forms as far as the student organization handbook. So all those things are up and online on the MyCCBC community. So let's talk a little about SGA, because Student Government Association is kind of the overall governing voice for CCBC students to do a lot of advocacy work. But for you as a student organization, one of the important things is they work with you to connect your student organizations with other student organizations. We'll have a SGA executive board member assigned to your student organization as kind of a mentor or liaison to kind of make those connections between SGA and with other student organizations and with your group. And this person is going to be someone that will reach out to you in the first couple of weeks of the semester and let you know kind of who they are, what they can do to offer you, and answer any questions you have. Because it's great to have some of the office staff and student life, and we know that. But sometimes we know that students also like to talk to students. And our SGA leaders are wonderful guidance and help for you as a student leader as you are exploring and understanding what it is to be a student organization leader. But with SGA, they're going to be that guidance. They're going to have meetings, a couple meetings each semester that we'll talk about to give you a chance to connect with other student organizations, give you a chance to advocate for the needs of students on campus, and really work with each other to figure out what this campus community needs. And a lot of that will come from you as students and then them as student leaders as well. The SGA also spends time in Annapolis and through different legislative events, meeting with legislators, advocating for student organization or for student funding to keep the tuition and fees at the community college where they are, and helping that state continues to support that. So these are some of our SGA leaders down in Annapolis working on those goals. For each student organization, we do ask that SGA meetings and leadership opportunities are attended. And so we will send you a full list of these. But we do have typically 3 general body meetings each semester, which is your chance to connect with other student organizations, chance to connect with other student leaders, chance to share what you're doing and work towards collaborating with others. We'll have those on each of the main campuses, and we'll also simulcast that between the campuses. We also offer leadership development sessions, which is called the Leadership Lunch Series, and that's an opportunity for you as a leader to learn more about what it is to be a leader, to learn more about different areas about being a student leader within the community. And then we also have our annual town hall meeting with the CCBC president, Dr. Curtinitis, and other members of the administration, where SGA makes sure to bring your needs to them and also provides an open forum for students to directly talk to the upper levels of the administration to provide that communication. We are going to be sending out the meeting calendar to you all, so please keep an eye on your email. If you are having trouble finding that, please do not hesitate to contact the student engagement office. So let's talk about student organization budget, because this is one of the most important things. As a student organization, we typically give you $2,000 a year. If you're just starting off, it might give you 1,000. But most student organizations have $2,000 for the academic year. We do have some additional funding available after that for student organizations that are constantly doing good events, that are providing great opportunities for the campus community and their students that are engaged around their student organization. So all these budget requests need to be approved in advance and requested through the SGA, and work with the SGA to determine what we can allocate and what we can't. The most important thing that we tell students and advisors every year is that all purchases need to be approved in advance. The budget can be used to a whole bunch of things. It can be used to bring performers or guest speakers onto campus or virtually. It can be used to purchase giveaways. Some organizations want to get pens to give away, or hats to give away. Those type of things to promote who they are with their student organization's name on it. Certainly at events, you'll have decoration sometimes. Sometimes you'll have food. Student organization budget can also be used to travel. So we've had student organizations take trips up to Philadelphia, up to New York, down to DC, to go to a museum or a festival or something else that's relevant to what their organization is. It can also pay for conferences, and we'll talk a little about later what that looks like. But the most important thing is it's approved in advance through the budget request form, which we'll talk about in just a second. The biggest limitation on funds is that it can't be used to buy what kind of permanent equipment the college already provides. So the college already has computers all over campus. So we're not going to probably buy your student organization a laptop. We're probably not going to buy your student organization printer, because there are printers throughout campus. Those type of things that we can already get for free for the college, we're going to utilize the college services to do. I also want to talk for a second about movies, because we've all watched a movie. Hollywood is very prevalent in our lives, and we know when we watch a movie, we see it on DVD or stream it, you're probably going to see one of these warnings about anti-piracy. As a student organization, the biggest thing that comes into play is when we're talking about public performances of movies, of DVDs, or of streaming content. As a student organization, anytime you show a movie, we do have to secure the legal rights to show that movie, the legal copyright to show that, and that does sometimes cost money. That's something you can use your budget for sure. But they do sometimes almost always cost between maybe 300 and 700 bucks. Student engagement's happy to help get that contract. You should never sign a contract as a student leader or as a student organization advisor. But as student engagement, we can arrange that and figure out what's there. There's 2 major distributors that will sign off and help pay out the copyright for almost every major Hollywood movie you've ever seen. on your screen there, swank.com and criterionpickusa.com. Those are the two sites to check to see if your movie's there. And then I can work with my contacts, my liaisons at those organizations to pay that if that is something you want to prioritize your student organization's budget. There are some small exceptions to that. Mostly it's if we have a local screenwriter that really just wants their work seen. As long as we have it in writing from the legal copyright owner, we can show it. We can show it. Um, and they won't charge us. Sometimes it's a nonprofit or a completely educational institution that wants their mission is to have their work shown. We still need that in writing that it's okay to show, but a lot of times they won't charge us either. But almost anything you've seen in the movie theaters will require us to purchase the license. Um, so please be in touch, and I can work with my colleagues on getting the copyright secured and the payment secured, the contract set for that. Again, please never sign those contracts. Let's talk about ordering food a little bit, because CCBC has a contract with Sodexo to order food for your events, whether that's something you're doing on campus here with a movie, something you're doing with your group. But we do have a contract with Sodexo, our dining company, for catering options. We do have some exceptions that we can go to outside vendors, and that also must be pre-approved. There's some events that student organizations will hold that they want authentic cultural food, and that makes sense. And Sodexo can't always meet those needs. So we can typically get exceptions for that. Sodexo often can't meet kosher and halal dietary needs, so we can go to other caterers, and we're happy to help with that. And then any event that happens on the weekend or off campus, Sodexo is typically not open, and certainly they're not, going to be needing to supply for off campus. So if you're taking a trip and you get approved for that, if you're having an event on a weekend and you get approved for that, we could look at other dining options for that as well. But almost everything else that happens during the week, Monday through Friday, would need to go through Sodexo as our catering company on campus. There are menus on the MyCCBC site. They'll be linked below on the YouTube channel. Um, and that's important. You take a look through and figure out what you want, and then you can put that into the budget request form, and our staff will take care of confirming that catering request. So once you have the location, date, and time for your event, you can have the catering confirmed and make sure to get that to you. We also ask you that you do request and get all the food, all the budget requested at least 2 weeks in advance. As oftentimes, as a caterer, they need to order the food, make sure it's on site. We do try to limit catering to 3 events a semester. There's a little flexibility with that, but we know not every group can have well-planned events every week for 100 people. So that isn't typically something we're going to support from a budget perspective. We also ask that for an executive board meeting, get a couple pizzas, and that makes sense. But typically, we try to limit that to that $60. Because if you have about 5 people at a meeting, we're not going to spend $500 for 5 people. It doesn't make sense. It's not being fiscally responsible. So please try to keep that in mind as you're putting in your event catering and meeting catering. We do ask that, and we need you to pick up your catering at the cafe on each campus. So Catonsville and Dundalk and Essex. You would pick up the catering at the cafe. They'll give you a nice cart. You can bring it to wherever you are on campus. And then afterwards, you need to return it to the cafe after the event. And there's a after hours drop off location if you are finishing up after their cafe is closed. Please make sure you're talking to the staff when you pick that up. But all those serving utensils, dishes, and pots and pans need to be returned. It can't just be left in the room. That tends to bring critters into our facilities, and we like to avoid that. Let's talk about travel a little bit, because student organizations love to go places and do things. We do need the advisor or faculty staff member to be present during the entire duration of the event, the entire duration of the travel. We do need that information as far in advance as possible that you're looking to travel to go somewhere. 'Cause typically contracts need to be signed, funds that need to be approved, tickets that need to be purchased, whether it's flights or on buses or trains. And so the sooner we can coordinate all those logistics, the better to help your event run as smoothly as possible. We typically fund conferences related to the mission of your student organization. We'll typically cover 2 students and an advisor for a regional conference, or one to a national conference that might be a little further away and more expensive. But any group trips, those will be funded by the club and organization budget. Um, so that's your art museums, your travels up to see a show, those type of things. And we do need all the paperwork done, like I said, at least 2 weeks in advance. There are travel waivers that need to be done from liability perspective, and that protects you as a student leader, you as an advisor, us as student engagement, and the college as a whole um, from any liability. So let's talk about giveaways and promotional items. Um, we don't want you to spend your entire budget just promoting your organization, because we want you to spend your money succeeding with the goals of your organization, with the events that you want to do, with the opportunities you want to provide. But we do recognize that sometimes people buy branded pens, T-shirts, those type of things. We typically say about $250 from your organization budget, but there's some flexibility there. Anything that's more expensive, we do need a signature sheet. We'll talk through those logistics with that if that's something you want to do. Um, but for most of the time, for raffle prizes or incentives to attend an event, we typically have that turn into funds put onto the Students One card. And it doesn't need to be students winning. We know that some events, folks will come in who aren't students, but we do need to have raffle prize and incentives limited to students. It can't be faculty and staff, it can't be community members. And then from a logistics perspective, we typically would add those funds to the Students One card, so they can use it anywhere they use their one card, including at the Barnes and Nobles on campus, the cafes on campus. So please keep that in mind if you're looking to do raffle prizes, gift cards. Much easier to go through and do the one card box. So that's where we'll probably need to be for that. The other thing I just want to make sure we talk about is that this is your student organization. Like, I've spent a couple minutes talking about all these guidelines and all this stuff, but our job is really to help you be successful. You have all these ideas, these thoughts on how you want your group to roll, to run, to be successful, and that's great. But this is your student organization. We are here to help you, and sometimes we might have to say no, and we hate saying no, but most of the time we're able to say yes and approve what you're looking to do. Um, so please come talk to us, because we want to make it be successful. We do need everything submitted for expenditure requests at least 2 weeks in advance, but um, please also make sure that we respond, because we need to approve that as well. Like I said, we approve probably 95% of the proposals that come in, but once in a while there's something that for logistics, um, we it just can't be approved, or we need to modify it and find a different way to make it work. So that's a really important piece of that process um, within that. So this event request form, it covers everything from room reservation requests, food requests, catering, budget requests, and travel requests. So this is the process within the link. This link will be in the YouTube description as well as online on the My CCBC website. But it is the request form, and that covers all of the things, anything you might need to request funding for: travel, food. It also covers room requests. So once you click on this link, log in with your CCBC credentials, you need to add some information about what you're trying to do, where you're trying to spend those funds. And then as soon as you're finished with that form and submit the request, whoever submits that request will be emailed a copy of the request, along with hopefully the advisor. We'll ask you to put the advisor's email address in there if you are not the advisor, so that the advisor's emailed, and then student engagement staff will also get a copy of that email, which will review and be in touch with you and let you know if the request is going to be approved and denied. Please know, if you put in a request Friday night at 6 p.m., staff is probably not going to get back to you until Monday. So please know that that process takes a couple days, especially over the weekend, because our staff typically isn't working on the weekend. But our staff will reserve those rooms for you, reserve that catering for you, and be in touch over email, just confirming the details. But please give us a call, stop by the office, or respond to that email if you do have those questions. But please also make sure you're checking that email, because that's going to be our primary initial way of communicating with you that, yes, you asked for this room, we reserved the room. You asked for this catering, we reserved this catering. But we do need you to be the one to then check the email and make sure you have those details confirmed. If nothing else, please remember, don't purchase anything until you're notified your request has been approved in writing. Um, we often will purchase ourselves using our credit card. So if you have Amazon links, those type of things, we can purchase online for you. We will do that. We'll directly pay our caterers. We'll directly pay any contracts we have signed. But if you do go to the store and want to pick out your own candy or pick out your own decorations instead of sending us Amazon links, we can probably make that work. Just make sure we're connecting over email to confirm that who is doing the purchasing, so we're not purchasing in duplicate. we'd likely be able to then reimburse you. Um, and we do need an itemized receipt to reimburse it. So that means if you go to Walmart, you give them a tax stamp form, which you can pick up from Student Life, and you get the itemized receipts, which says, I bought a pack of pencils for $1.99. I bought, this decoration for $3.99. It can't just say the total expenditure is $29. It needs to say what those things are, so that we know what those are. So again, please come chat. And we say that 2 weeks is the minimum for an event request, a funding request. But please give us more than 2 weeks, because as you know, sometimes staff are out, or sometimes logistics for kind of major events like trips, travel, a lot of logistics. Sometimes those take some time. And so please give us as much heads up as you can, because even after you submit that event request form, if you change one or two minor details, we can change that. But the more time you give us to make sure we can get on the same page as you and your wonderful ideas as a student organization, the more likely it is we're able to make that event run smoothly. We also want to make sure you know that there is a form online that we have, and again, it'll be in this description on YouTube as well as on the My CCBC community. There's a link here to upload and let us know how you want us to help you advertise for your events, how you want us to advertise for your community. Do you want us to put it on social media? Do you want to put us on the website? Do you want us to include your information in the email? Do you want us to text us students? Do you want us to print and post flyers around campus? All those questions are really up for you to decide, and some students will do it different for different reasons, and that's up to you. We do ask that you create the flyer, the publicity, and you upload it onto this form so we can help you publicize. We also ask that the student engagement footers on each flyer, every publicity you want posted on campus, so that students who might be wandering by and see the flyer know that they can contact student engagement for more information. Yes, we'd love if your contact information is on there as well, but it's also make sure that students know that there's some legitimacy to this flyer, this publicity that they're reading on the bulletin boards. It's not just something to read. It's something that is backed and supported by the college. So please make sure you're putting that in your footer before you upload your publicity on the computer there. We do want to make sure you stay connected. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Check us out there if that's your thing. The MyCCBC community website's linked there. It'll also be in the YouTube the description below. And then if you're interested in receiving text alerts, we'll sometimes send alerts saying, hey, there's free food at this location. There's this event at this location. So text the word CCBC to 71444. We'll make sure to get you in our distribution list there. A couple things we want to make sure you know about that you need to do before October 1st. That's our guideline. To continue as a student organization to keep the budget active. This how it lets us know that there are students that are interested in your group, there are students interested in leading your group, there's an advisor in your group, these 4 steps on your screen. Number 1, let us know that there are students interested. The easiest way to do that is put up a sign up sheet at Connect Fest and get that to our staff. If you know that there's students interested in your group, we're going to be able to support it. Second step is the executive board contact information. We do ask at least 3 students are identified as student leaders in your group. We do ask that you let us know who those folks are and how to contact them, because those are many of the folks who are primarily going to make budget decisions for your group, make logistics decisions for your group. So let us know who those are. Again, links to all that will be on the YouTube channel and the MyCCBC page as well. Have your advisor complete the advisor agreement, step 3 there. That link will be available as well so that the advisor is informed and knows that they're advising the group. And step 4, this orientation and budget training. This video is the video that you need to watch to learn a little more about what it is to be a student leader, how to use the budget. So by watching this video and listening to me chat here, you're watching that video, and then you need to complete an online form just to confirm you've seen that, which is not much more than just your name and a confirmation. Again, these are going to be your contact folks on campus. Please chat with these folks about your student organizations, what we can all do to help you be successful. There's lots of folks who want to help you do your best as a student organization. There's lots of good opportunities. So I appreciate you spending some time with me today. I appreciate you being a student organization leader, being a student organization advisor, and all the great things you're going to do this year. Please don't hesitate to be in touch with us, because we're looking forward to work with you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.